about Google Cloud pricing
At
is
the
that it
summit,
provides
the Prime
committed
Minister will
use
reiterate
discounts.
Pakistan's full
For
support
example,
to the
under this
Palestinian
scheme, you can
cause.
purchase a
He
specific
will call
amount
for
of
an
virtual
immediate end
CPU
to the
cores
genocide in
and
Gaza,
memory for up to
an urgent and
57% discount
unconditional
off
ceasefire,
regular prices if you commit
immediate
usage for
cessation of
either 1 or 3
ongoing
years. Now,
Israeli
this is just
adventurism
one
in the
option.
region
There
that
are
is
various such
endangering the
options which you can
security of
learn
the
about from the
countries
Google
in the
Clouds
Middle
page,
East.
and that really suits
Pakistan will
different
also call
customers
for
for their
providing
different
international
requirements.
protection for the
Now,
Palestinian
when we talk
people
about
and for
speed,
the
we don't need to
establishment of an
really
independent state
challenge
of
this
Palestine on the
aspect when it
borders of
comes to
4
Google
June
services. So, Google
1967
provides its
with
Google
Al-Quds
Cloud
al-Sharif
and
as its
Google App
capital.
customer speed up to 10 terabytes
On the
because of
sidelines
its
of the
faster
summit, the Prime
cable
Minister
system.
is
There are
expected to
different
hold
kind of
bilateral
machines
meetings
which
with
can be
leaders
used
from
if you're
other
talking about
Arab League and
computation,
OIC
if
member
you're talking about
states.
memory hungry applications, or even storage
The Prime
intensive
Minister of
workloads.
Pakistan will
All in
visit
all,
Baku,
speed
Azerbaijan,
is one
to
of the
participate in the
defining
World Leaders
characteristics
Climate Action
of Google
Summit
Cloud
taking
services.
place on
The
12th
cable
to
has
13th
connections
of
over
November
US West
as part
Coast,
of the
main
29th
cities in
UN
Japan,
Climate
and
Change
even major
Conference.
hubs in Asia. This
The
speed
Prime Minister will be
enhances
accompanied by Deputy
performances
Prime
and
Minister
leads to
and Foreign
customer
Minister Senator
satisfaction.
Mohammad Ishaq
Now, when
Dar
we talk about
and other
customers,
cabinet members
any or
and
every
senior
customer would
officials.
prefer to have low latency,
At
high
the summit,
throughput
the Prime
based
Minister will make a
services.
robust
They
call
would
for
want to
climate
use
solidarity
higher
and climate
speeds to process
justice
their data
based on
in
the
as
established
less time
principles
as
of
possible.
equity
Google provides
and
a low
common but
latency network
differentiated
infrastructure. In
responsibilities
fact,
and
you can say
respective
that when you are
capabilities.
using Google Cloud
On
services,
the
you
sidelines of the
are
summit,
using
the
the
Prime Minister is
services
also
from
scheduled
the
to hold
same infrastructure
bilateral
which
meetings with
Google
participating
uses
world
for
leaders.
its popular services such as Google Search
COP29
or
is taking
even
place at a
YouTube, which
time
is one of the
when millions
second
around the world,
largest
including in
repository
Pakistan,
which
are
can be
facing
accessed for
severe adverse
videos.
impacts of
Now, when we
climate
talk about
change.
big data
As an important
is data
stakeholder,
which is
Pakistan will
very
continue to
complex,
make positive
has a lot of other
contributions to the
characteristics
global
such
climate
as
debate,
your volume,
negotiations,
you have
and collective
velocity, you
action.
have variety, you have
Thank you.
veracity, validity, volatility, virality, and so on.
बलूच की हफ्तावार
So,
न्यूज
if
ब्रीफिंग
an
ईरान के वज़ीर ख़ारजा
organization
ने पाकिस्तान का
is
दौरा
working
किया।
on
ईरानी
big
वज़ीर
data,
ख़ारजा ने पाकिस्तानी
Google
क़यादत से
Cloud
मुलाकात भी
can
की।
be a
वज़ीर
better
आज़म मोहम्मद
choice
शहबाज शरीफ ने ईरान पर
because
हमले की
Google
शदीद
has
मज़म्मत की है।
many
तर्जुमान डॉक्टर
innovative
तारजन
tools
मुमताज़
for
बलूच
cloud
हफ्तावार न्यूज
warehousing,
ब्रीफिंग के
for
लिए।
example, such as BigQuery, and even real-time data processing tools such as Dataflow. BigQuery is a data warehouse
खबरनामे
that
में मौसम
allows
की खबरें शामिल
massive
करेंगे।
processing of data at high speeds,
लाहौर
basically
आज
working
भी
on your
आलूदा तरीन शहरों
structured
में
data.
सरफहरिस्त है।
Google
एयर
also
क्वालिटी
has
इंडेक्स
launched
700 से
some new
तजावुज कर
machine
गया।
learning
स्मोक की
from
वजह से
artificial
गले,
intelligence
सीने और
tools.
आंखों के मरीजों
Now,
की
there
तादाद
are
में
various other
इजाफा हो रहा है।
services
सूबाई दारुल हुकूमत में
which we
स्मोक की
can
सूरत
use
हाल के बारे
from
में
Google
मज़ीद
Cloud
जानते
Platform.
हैं
But
नुमाइंदा
let's
टीवी
understand
न्यूज़
what is Google
इफ्तिखार
Cloud
अहमद से।
Platform
इफ्तिखार
and
आगाह
what are some
कीजिएगा।
of the services. Even
इफ्तिखार
the
अहमद हमारे
services which are
साथ
not
कुछ ही देर
listed
में मौजूद
here
होंगे।
can be
नाज़रीन आपको बताते
found
चलें कि
in
लाहौर में
your
स्मोक जो है
console
उसका
from Google
राज
Cloud.
बरकरार है
So,
और
what is
एयर
Google Cloud
क्वालिटी
Platform?
इंडेक्स जो है
GCP.
वो 700
It is a
से
set of
तजावुज़ कर
cloud
गया है
computing
और स्मोक की
services
वजह से
provided by
गले,
Google
सीने और
that
आंखों के
runs on
मरीजों
the
की तादाद
same
में
infrastructure,
इजाफा
as I
रिकॉर्ड किया जा
mentioned,
रहा है।
that Google
सूबाई दारुल
uses
हुकूमत
for
में
its
स्मोक
end
की
user
सूरत हाल के
products
बारे
like
में
YouTube,
मज़ीद जानते हैं
Gmail,
नुमाइंदा पीटीवी
and
न्यूज़
even Google
इफ्तिखार अहमद
Search.
से
The
हमारे
various
साथ
set of
मौजूद हैं।
services
जी
offered
इफ्तिखार
by
आगाह
Google
कीजिएगा।
Cloud Platform are, so you have services which are specific to computing requirements. And again, in computing, you have various different options available.
जी गुज़िश्ता
You have
चंद दिनों से
machines which
लाहौर
are
जो इसके
compute
गिरदोनवार के इलाके
optimized,
हैं जहाँ पे स्मोक
machines
की
which
जो
are
सूरत
memory
हाल है इसमें इजाफा
optimized,
देखा जा रहा
machines
है।
which are storage
अगर आज की
optimized,
बात की जाए जो
and
आलूदा तरीन
also
शहर हैं तो
we
इनमें
have
लाहौर का
certain
आज
machines such as preemptive, which
सरफहरिस्त
basically
है।
means that you
जबकि
could
अगर
get a
हम ओवरऑल
machine
बात करें तो
to
यहाँ पे
work
जो एयर
on
क्वालिटी इंडेक्स
at
है
a
वो
far lesser price
जो
than
एयर
any
क्वालिटी
other
इंडेक्स है वो
machine.
आज सुबह
But when we
710
talk
था
about
जबकि
preemptive,
जो
these
अभी
are
है
the
ये भी
machines which
तकरीबन
can
500
be
है।
requested
अगर
on
हम
demand
ओवरऑल बात
and
करें
they
तो जो
can be
भारतीय
taken
पंजाब है
back
वहाँ से
by
आने वाली
Google at
हवाएं
any
हैं
time.
वो
You have
ज़्यादा मुतासर कर
networking
रही हैं
related
क्योंकि वहाँ पे
services
जो फसलों की
which can be
बाकियात हैं
very
उनको
useful
जलाया
when
जाता है
you
और
are
जो भट्टों का धुआं है
setting up
वो
your
पंजाब की जानब आता है
applications
जिसकी वजह
or
से लाहौर
your
और जो
services
मुल्तान है
across
फैसलाबाद
globe.
गुजरांवाला यहाँ
You
पे
also
आलूदगी
have
की
different
शरह ज़्यादा है।
services which are
इसी वजह
specific
से
to
जो आलूदगी
machine
की जो
learning,
शरह बढ़ रही है
and
इसी वजह से हुकूमत
organizations which
पंजाब
would
ने
be interested
इसके
in
तदारक के
working
लिए
on
इकदाम
machine
किए हैं।
learning
इसमें
or
जो सर
artificial
फरिश्ता वो तो है कि
intelligence
शहरियों से कहा
would
गया है
be
कि वो
really
घरों से
interested in
कम
using these
निकलें, जबकि
services.
जो
There
मास्क का
are
इस्तेमाल है वो
also
भी लाजमी
innovative
करें।
solutions to
इसके अलावा
work
जो
on
स्कूल हैं
big
उनको
data
बंद किया गया है
and
और
big data
ऑनलाइन
related
क्लासों का कहा गया है,
technologies.
जबकि
Now,
जो
when we talk about
दफातर में
Google
हाजिरी
Cloud
है उसको भी
Platform
कहा गया है कि
domains,
50%
so
लोग
we
घरों
can
से काम
break
करें।
down these
अगर ओवरऑल
services into
देखें तो यहाँ पे जो
specifics,
सांस
such as you
और
have
गले के
compute.
अमराज हैं और
Now,
आंखों के
the
ये
compute
बढ़ रहे हैं,
service
जिसकी वजह से
allows for
अस्पतालों में इनके
computing and
मरीजों की तादाद
hosting
बढ़ रही है।
the
अगर
cloud.
हम देखें कि
Now, when you talk about
ओवरऑल जो
computing, here
स्मोक
there
है
are
वो बढ़ रही
different
है, इसी वजह से
services such
जो
as
हुकूमत
App
पंजाब है
Engine,
उसने
you
लाहौर के
have
चंद
Compute
एरिया में
Engine,
ग्रीन
you have
लॉकडाउन भी
Kubernetes,
किया है,
you have Cloud
जहाँ पे
Functions
आज हाई कोर्ट
and
ने भी
Cloud
एक हुक्म
Run.
जारी किया
When you
गया
talk
है
about
कि जो
storage and
धुआं छोड़ने वाले
database,
कमर्शियल
so
जनरेटर हैं
the storage
उनके
and
चलाने
database
पर
service
पाबंदी
allows
आयद की जाए, इन
application
पर
to
सख्ती से
store
अमल किया जाए
media
और जो
files,
हॉट स्पॉट के
backups,
एरिया
or
हैं
other
वहाँ से
file-like
तजावजात
objects.
को हटाया
Now,
जाके
various
ताकि जो
services under
ट्रैफिक की
this
रवानगी
are
है
as
वो
follows.
बिला
You
तातील
have
जारी रहे
cloud
ताकि स्मोक
storage,
जो है
cloud
उसमें कमी आ सके।
SQL,
जी
cloud big
जी
table for
ठीक है, बहुत शुक्रिया
unstructured
तफसीलात
data.
से आगाह
You
करने
have
के लिए।
cloud
नाज़रीन
spanner, cloud
इफ्तिखार
data
अहमद हमें
store,
तफसीलात से आगाह कर
persistent
रहे थे
disks,
और महकमे
and
मौसूलात के
cloud
मुताबिक
memory
आइंदा 12
store.
घंटे के
When we
दौरान
talk
मुल्क
about
के
networking,
बेशतर इलाकों
the
में
networking
मौसम
service
खुश्क,
allows us
जबकि
to
पहाड़ी
load
इलाकों में
balance
रात
traffic
और सुबह के
across
औकात में सर्द
resources.
रहने का
Now, as
इम्कान
I
है।
mentioned
उधर
earlier,
पंजाब के
resources
ज्यादातर
could
इलाकों में
be your
स्मोक छाए
different
रहने की तवक्को
resources
है।
which
जम्मू
you would be
के बेशतर
using
इलाकों
from a
में
cloud
मौसम खुश्क,
platform
जबकि
such
पहाड़ी
as
इलाकों में
your
सुबह और रात के
devices,
औकात में
your
सर्द रहने का इम्कान
instances,
है।
memory
पंजाब के ज्यादातर
optimized
इलाकों
or
में
CPU
स्मोक छाए रहने
optimized
की तवक्को है,
instances,
जबकि
or
वस्ती और
other
जनूबी पंजाब के
resources
चंद इलाकों में
creating
सुबह के
DNS
औकात में
records
धुंध पड़ने
and
का
much
भी
more.
इम्कान है।
So, various
गुज़श्ता 24
services
घंटे
under
के दौरान
this
मुल्क के
are
बेशतर इलाकों में मौसम
VPC,
खुश्क,
that stands
जबकि
for
पहाड़ी
Virtual
इलाकों में
Private
सर्द
Cloud.
रहा।
You
पंजाब
have
के
cloud
ज्यादातर
load
इलाकों में
balancing,
स्मोक
cloud
हल्की धुंध की
armor, cloud
लपेट में रहे।
CDN. You have cloud interconnect, DNS, and network service tiers. When we talk about the big data service, this allows us to process and query big data in
मौसम की सूरत
cloud.
हाल आपने मुलाहिजा
Now,
किया। अब
various
आपको वापस
services
भी
under
चलेंगे।
these
मैं
are
इंडस्ट्री
as
जा रहा हूँ।
follows. You have BigQuery, Cloud, Cloud Data Proc, Cloud Composer, Cloud Data Lab, Cloud Data Prep, Cloud Pub Sub, which is publish and subscribing system. You have Cloud Data Studio. Now, you also have the developer tools, and developer tools service includes tools related to development of an application. Now, various services under these are as follows. That is, you have Cloud SDK, Software Development Kit, you have Deployment Manager, Cloud Source Repositories, and Cloud Test Lab. When we talk about identity and security, which is one of the primary concerns for any organization or any user who would be interested in using a cloud platform, Google Cloud really has taken care of this. So when you talk about identity and security domain, this deals with security services. Now, various services here are cloud identity. You have identity and access management, that is cloud IAM. You have identity aware proxies. You have cloud data loss prevention API, security key enforcement, key management service, and many more. You also have cloud services which are related to Internet of Things. So very much would be used by organizations who would be working on IoT devices or the data generated by these devices. So various services here are Cloud IoT Core. You have Edge TPU and Cloud IoT. Also, when we talk about Cloud AI, that is artificial intelligence, this comprises of services related to machine learning and much more. So you have Cloud Auto ML, Cloud TPU, Cloud Machine Learning Engine, Job Discovery, Dialogflow Enterprise, Natural Language Cloud, Text to Speech, and much more. If you would be interested in services related to API platform, then there are different services under this category or this domain. So you have Maps platform, you have APG, API platform, monetization, developer portal, analytics, that is API analytics, APG Sense, cloud endpoints, and service infrastructure. So these are some of the listing of services under each cloud platform domain. Now let's look at Ferrero use case, and let's also understand what was done here. So Ferrero is one of the famous chocolate and ranks third among worldwide chocolate and confectionery producers. It was found in 1946 in Italy. I'm sure you would have seen the Ferrero chocolates when you would have gone out to buy some chocolates. So the challenges here was that Ferrero, as we know, is sold in every supermarket and is known for its quality. Once the business grew, some issues arose, right? And that's what happens when the business grows. You have issues popping up which could be related to the volume of data, the speed with which the data is getting generated, the variety of data, and also looking at your platforms which support different dynamic applications or your scalability requirements, performance requirements, and so on. So it needed data storage, processing, and analysis system for a wide customer database. There was a huge gap between the company and the people who bought its goods because the company relied on data-given sales outlets. Now that's one of the challenges. Ferrero wanted to create a digital ecosystem where there was a point of contact with its customers and also a foundation for an innovative data-driven marketing strategy. What was the solution here? So one of the service of cloud platforms or Google Cloud Platform is BigQuery, and this was an answer to Ferrero's challenges since it was capable of hyper-fast and efficient data analysis as a solution. Now, as I mentioned, BigQuery is a data warehouse which allows you to store structured data. Now, this could directly be used as a service where you could store in any amount of data and you would not be paying for storage. So there are different pricing models, and for data up to 1 terabytes you would not be charged anything, and if you would be accessing the data, that is reading the data or processing the data from BigQuery, that's where the pricing model kicks in. Now, using Google Cloud's BigQuery, business analysts of Ferrero were able to store and analyze massive data sets in a very reliable, fast, and affordable manner. Consumer behavior and sales pattern data reports were easy to build and automate. And the analysis also followed Ferrero to adopt advertising across various marketing channels to serve the customer needs in a better way. What was the result? They could divide their database into real-time, actionable consumer clusters to generate more accurate user profiles. Ferrero was also able to personalize its marketing strategies to match the user needs. Now, Google Cloud Platform completely tailored the website, mobile content, and advertising, and created a very cost-effective media buy strategy. Now, these were some basics on Google Cloud. Now, as I said, you can always find a lot of details about pricing, about services, and also all the services are accessible in your free trial account. Now, let me just walk you through here. So one is you could always find details on documentation on each of these services. So if I would click on getting started, you have quick start, which basically shows you short tutorials. You have trainings and you have also certifications. Now, if we click on Quick Start, now that takes me to this page, which shows me Quick Starts, or if you would want to understand about different projects, if you would want to look into the documentation of creating a Linux virtual machine or storing a file and sharing it, deploying a container, Docker container image, and so on. So you have a lot of quick starts here. You can also look at Cloud Minute. On the same page, on the right side, you have docs, and once you click on that, it takes you to these links. Now this shows you build solutions, which shows you top use cases, best practices, all the solutions. It's always good to learn from these use cases which are available. And here you have different featured products and all the different services which Google Cloud offers. Now you can click on featured products, and that basically shows you a list of these products. Now here we have all the solutions which you can look at: architecture, database, enterprise level, big data and analysis, gaming related, Internet of
गवर्नर
Things, and so
बलूचिस्तान
on.
जाफर खान
Now, if you
बंदूशेल
go
से
down
वाइस
here,
चांसलर पंजगुर
it shows
यूनिवर्सिटी
you
डॉक्टर
featured
अब्दुल मलिक
products,
करीम ने
and that
मुलाकात की। इस
shows
मौके
you
पर गवर्नर
some of
बलूचिस्तान
the
ने कहा
important
कि
products
सूबे में
such as
मयारी तालीम
compute
के फरोग
engine,
के लिए
which
हुकूमत
is
तमाम
belonging to
मसाइल
the
को
compute
बुरे ख्याल
domain. You
रही
have
है।
Cloud
उन्होंने
Run,
कहा कि
you
खुसूसन
have
दूर दराज
Anthos,
अजला के
which is
तलबा
for
तालिबात को इल्म व हुनर से
migration,
आरास्ता करने की
and
काविशें भी
basically
जारी हैं।
cloud adoption. When organizations would want to move
बलूचिस्तान
from
के जिला
on-premise
खुजदार में
to
हुकूमत की
cloud-based
जानिब से
solutions, you
पहला
have
वुमेन
Vision
कॉन्फ्रेंस का
AI,
क़याम
you
अमल
have
में लाया
cloud
गया है।
storage.
सेक्रेटरी
Now
वुमेन
that
डेवलपमेंट
basically
डिपार्टमेंट
allows you to
बलूचिस्तान
store
सारा
any
अताबर ने
kind of
हाल ही
data,
में बनने वाले
whether
खुजदार
that's
वुमेन कॉन्फ्रेंस
an
का
object.
तफसीली
So
दौरा
this
किया
is acting
और
as an
कहा कि
object
मौजूदा
storage.
हुकूमत सूबा
You
की
have Cloud
खवातीन को
SQL,
तरक्की के
which
ज़्यादा
is
से ज़्यादा
basically a
मौके फराहम करने के लिए
ready-to-use
इनकलाबी इक़दामात
service
बरूए
where
कार
you
ला
would
रही
be
है।
using
उस्ताद ने वुमेन
MySQL,
कॉम्प्लेक्स की तामीर से
Postgres, or
यहाँ की
any other
खवातीन को न
SQL
सिर्फ
Server
रोजगार के
database
मौके
services.
दस्तयाब होंगे बल्कि
You have
तशद्दुद की शिकार
BigQuery, which is
खवातीन
a
को
data
इंसाफ
warehouse,
की फराहमी
which
में भी
basically
आसानियां
allows you to
पैदा
store
होंगी।
your
उन्होंने
structured
विमेन
data.
क्राइसिस सेंटर
And
रोजगार
then
की
you
कारकर्दगी
have
पर
your
भी
AI
इत्मीनान का
and
इजहार
machine
किया
learning
है।
related products. So you have AutoML, Vision AI, Video AI, text to speech, speech to text, and so on. Now you also have different platform accelerators
और अब
which
कुछ
can
खबरें
be
शामिल
used.
करेंगे खेल के मैदान
And
से।
in any of these cases, for example, if I would click on Compute Engine, which is a featured product from Google Cloud, now that shows you basically your quick starts using your Linux machines, how-to guides which tells
नाज़रीन
you
खेल में खुशामदीद,
completely
मैं हूं समी
working
इकबाल।
on a VM
वज़ीर आज़म मोहम्मद
instance
शहबाज शरीफ
or
ने
working
मोहम्मद
on
आसिफ को
storage,
दोहा में
working on
इंटरनेशनल
persistent
बिलियर्ड्स एंड वर्ल्ड
disks,
स्नूकर
and so
फेडरेशन
on.
चैंपियनशिप जीतने
And
पर
it shows you the
मुबारकबाद दी है।
documentation here.
अपने पैगाम
Now
में
you
वज़ीर आज़म ने
also
कहा कि
have
मोहम्मद आसिफ
products
ने
and
तीसरी
pricing
मरतबा
option,
बैनुल अक़वामी
which you can
चैंपियनशिप
see
जीतकर
for
पूरी
GCP
कौम का सर
pricing,
फख्र से
and
बुलंद
you
कर
could
दिया।
straight away go to the
मोहम्मद
pricing.
आसिफ
You
के
could be
अहलखाना
looking
और
at
इसके कोच भी
solutions
इस
which
फतह
talks
पर
about
मुबारक के
infrastructure
मुस्तहिक हैं।
modernization.
वज़ीर आज़म ने
Now
कहा
this
कि
is something
पाकिस्तान के
which
बासलाहियत
organizations are
नौजवान
interested
खेल के
in
मैदानों में
when they would
पाकिस्तान का
want to
नाम रोशन
move
कर रहे हैं।
from their
हुकूमत हर
on-premise
मुमकिन कोशिश कर रही है
solution
कि
to
खिलाड़ियों
your
को
Google
आलमी
Cloud.
मयार की
Now
सहूलियात
here
फराहम की
I
जाएं।
can say, for
उनका कहना
example,
था
I
कि
click on
आलमी
infrastructure
चैंपियनशिप जीतने के लिए
modernization.
मोहम्मद
You can
आसिफ ने
always
शब और रोज
find some
मेहनत की,
case
जिसके लिए
studies.
वो लायक
What are the
तहसीन
different
हैं।
solutions
वज़ीर
we
आज़म ने
have
कहा
here,
कि आलमी
right? When
मुकाबलों
you
के
talk
लिए
about Google Cloud,
खिलाड़ियों को तैयारी
so
के लिए
you can
मयारी
always
सहूलियात
click
की
on C
फराहमी हुकूमत की
solutions,
अव्वलीन
and you
तरजीह
can
है।
look at VM migration or SAP Cloud, right? Why Google Cloud, what it can be used for, VMware as a
नवीं थल
service,
डेजर्ट जी
or
रैली का आज से
HPC, that is
बाकायदा
high
आगाज हो
performance
गया।
computing.
मुल्की और गैर
And
मुल्की रेसेस के
about
दरमियान
these
13
services we
कैटेगरीज
will
में
learn in
मुकाबले होंगे।
detail later.
रेसेस
Now I
मुजफ्फरगढ़,
can go
कोट
back
अब्दू
on the
और
same
लिया में
page
190
where I
किलोमीटर से
was
जायद
clicking
के
on the
दुश्वार गुजार
services. So
ट्रैक
you
पर
have quick
गाड़ियां
starts, you
दौड़ाएंगे।
have how
रैली
to
के पहले
guides,
दिन गाड़ियों की
you have deep
रजिस्ट्रेशन,
understanding of
चेकिंग,
different
टेक्निकल
concepts,
इंस्पेक्शन और
right?
मेडिकल इंस्पेक्शन
And
का अमल
here,
जारी है।
if I click
रैली
on
का
all
क्वालिफाइंग
how
मरहला
to
कल होगा।
guides, so
स्टॉक
that
कैटेगरी के
shows me
मुकाबले
what are the
9 नवंबर
different
जबकि
ways in which you can work
मॉडिफाइड
with
व्हीकल
compute
और
engine
वुमेन कैटेगरी
and
के
working with
मुकाबले
different
10 नवंबर को
instances.
मुनक्किद
Although
होंगे।
it's quite
10 नवंबर ही
exhaustive
को
content,
मुजफ्फरगढ़
but
के
then
फैसल
if
स्टेडियम
you
में
follow
तकरीब
steadily,
इनामात
then
होगी।
you can learn a
चार रोज़ा
lot
मेले के दौरान
about
पहली
Google
मरतबा
Cloud.
पंजाब की
Now
सकाफत
here
को
I
बेहतरीन
can just
अंदाज
go
में
back.
उजागर करने के
So
लिए
this is just
भगी,
giving
झूमर,
you
ढोल
some
की थाप
idea
और स्कूल के
on the
बच्चों के
different
प्रोग्राम शामिल
products
किए गए
which
हैं।
are available from Google Cloud, looking into different sections, finding right documentation here, right? And you can always look into each one of these
और
in
वज़ीर आला
detail
मरियम
for
नवाज का
each
मुनफरिद
product
विजन
which Google Cloud
ऑटोमोबाइल
offers.
टूरिज्म का फरोग और जनूबी
Now,
पंजाब की
if
सकाफती
we
और सियाहती
scroll
तरक्की का आज़म।
down, we could see
जनूबी
all
पंजाब
the
के 3
options
अजला
or all the domains which
मुजफ्फरगढ़,
we see
कोट
here,
अद्दू और
right?
लिया में
Let me
नवीं
just
थल
go
डेजर्ट
back
रैली का
because
आज
we
से
got
आगाज
into
हो रहा है।
solutions. Now we
वज़ीर
have
आला
quick
पंजाब मरियम
starts,
नवाज शरीफ
right?
ने थल जीप रैली
And
में
then
शरीक
you
रेसेस के
can
लिए नेक
basically
ख्वाहिशात का इजहार
scroll all
करते
the
हुए
way
उनकी
down to
कामयाबी
look
के
at
लिए
Cloud
दुआ की।
SDK, which can be
वज़ीर
set
आला
up
ने
on your
रैली
Windows
के
machine
शुरका
like I
और
have set it
साइकिन
up
के
on my
लिए
Windows
बेहतरीन
machine.
इंतजामात की हिदायत
Plus,
की।
when you use
मरियम
Google
नवाज शरीफ ने
Console,
कहा कि डेजर्ट
you
रैली में
have a
खवातीन ड्राइवर्स की
GUI, which I'll
शमूलियत
show you in a
खुशाइंद
couple
है।
of minutes, and also a Cloud Shell where you can use your command line options to work with Google Cloud
नाज़रीन
Platform.
पाकिस्तान
You
और
have Cloud
ऑस्ट्रेलिया के
Console,
दरमियान दूसरा
which is
वनडे
nothing
कल
but your
एडिलेड में खेला
GUI
जाएगा।
to access your
मैच की तैयारी के
resources.
लिए पाकिस्तान
Now
क्रिकेट
you can
टीम
also
ने
look at
एडिलेड में
in-depth
प्रैक्टिस सेशन
tutorials,
किया।
pricing,
मेजबान
and
ऑस्ट्रेलिया को
you have
सीरीज में
different other
1-0 की
options.
बरतरी
So
हासिल
let's
है।
just click on
पहले
pricing
मैच
here,
में कैंगरूज
and then
ने
we
2 विकेट
have
से कामयाबी
your
समेटी थी।
price list,
पाकिस्तान
which
और
basically gives
ऑस्ट्रेलिया
shows you details of different services, what are available, and what are the services or what are the prices. So for example, if I click on compute engine, right, and this shows me the pricing aspect of compute engine, which belongs to compute domain. And here you can see you have VM instance pricing, you have networking pricing, sole tenant nodes, which are specific to particular organizations, or if organizations would want to have dedicated nodes, you have GPU based pricing, right? So general processing units, you have disk and image pricing, and you can click on any of the links and you can see pricing, which also shows you your different kind of machine types. So here you have different kind of machine types, which says N1, N2, N2D, E2. You have memory optimized machine types, you have compute optimized, you have premium images, and you can basically look at all the categories. You can look at disk pricing, which involves your persistent disk pricing for SSDs or HDDs. What are the kind of images, what are the different network services, right? And you can always look at your machine types. You can choose a particular region, right? There is the concept of region and availability zones here. And as per region, you could look at the prices. You can also look at standard prices. You could be looking for what are the free tier machines. If I'm specifically looking for VM instance pricing, I can click on this one, and that takes me to the VM instance pricing. What is the billing module? What is the instance uptime? What is the resource-based pricing? And then you can also look at different kind of discounts, such as sustained use discounts, committed use discounts, discounts for preemptible VM instances, and so on. And this is how you can be looking at pricing for all different resources. And you can choose the resource which you are interested in, and then look for the pricing, benchmarks, reservations if you would want to use, and you would want to benefit, if you would want to look at what are the quotas and limits, and so on. So please explore this link, and you can find a lot of information when it comes to technical options, looking at different Google Cloud products, which we briefly discussed when it comes to domains and what each product can be used for. You can always come back to the main page where I was showing you different services. We went into pricing straight away, right? Now you can always come back to this page on your cloud.google.com, and then you have your solutions, which talks about different products, right? And you can click on these, or you can look into technical documentation. So this talks about your different featured solutions, infrastructure solutions, your data center migration related, and so on. So I could be talking more and more about Google Cloud Platform. It's an ocean, it's a huge chunk of different services for different organizational requirements. So look into this link, and also what you can do is create a account on Gmail. I mean, you could create a free account, or you could go to cloud.google.com, and then you could create a free account like I have created here, and I can just click on console. Now that's my GUI, or Google Cloud Console, which basically allows me to work with Google Cloud. Now there are a lot of options here. By default, when you create an account, now in my case, on the top it says it's a free trial account. I have $300 credit, and out of that $251 is left, at 237 days out of a year are left for my account. Now here I can basically see the project, right? And by default, we can create a project, or by default, there is a project existing for any user. So when you log in, it creates a particular project, and you could create a new project, and project would be to dedicate your different services or different resources per different project. So this is your dashboard, which basically shows you a project, which shows you a project number and a project ID, which is always unique. Now you can click on this, and this, if you would want, you can hide this information. You can also look into the documentation part of it. Then it shows you the different services, or a graphical information of services which you might have used in past. So you have compute engine, which shows you how much percentage of CPU was used. You can always go to compute engine as a service. You can look at your Google Cloud Platform status and look at the Google Cloud status. Now this is billing. Now since this shows me the billing period for April month, and I can always look at detailed charges. I can look at reporting. I can look at different APIs which Google
इल्जाम,
offers.
बहतान,
And
फेक न्यूज
for
और
your different
प्रोपेगेंडा।
kind of
आखिर
work,
कब तक?
you can always go
आज
to
तो
the
आज
API
नहीं, तो
overview
झगड़ा कैसा?
or the API
सच नहीं
link
रहेगा
and
खामोश।
enable or
ये
disable
बोलेगा।
any
जोर से,
API. Now, once you
जोर से।
enable or
अब
disable
काइट
any
की ज़रब से
API,
तोड़ेंगे।
then you
झूठ
can
का तिलस्म।
use that. So you have news section, you have documentation, and you have getting started guides which tells you how to work or enable different APIs. If you would want to deploy a pre-built solution, add dynamic logging, monitoring errors, deploying a Hello World app, and so on. Now this is your dashboard. I can click on activity and that would show me what kind of activity I would have done in my cloud platform. I can always choose the kind of activities by saying activity type. I can choose the resources. Now it shows me that I created some VM instances, I deleted them, I updated some metadata, I basically worked on instances, I changed some firewall rules here. I have then also worked on some other services or APIs. So I created some buckets which is for object storage. And again, I have been working with some instances and creating some firewall rules. Here, I have granted some permissions. I am setting up a policy, right? So this activity gives me a history of what things I have done over the past couple of months while working on Google Cloud Platform. Now, on the top left corner, you have the hamburger menu, which you can click on this. So that's your navigation menu. And when you click on this, this shows you home, it takes you to the marketplace, it specifically takes you to billing. You can always look at APIs and services. So here in API services, I can pretty much go to a dashboard and I can see a report on the traffic or errors or latency and the kind of APIs which are available. So you have Compute Engine API, you have BigQuery API, BigQuery Data Transfer API, BigQuery Storage, Cloud Data Proc. So these are some of the APIs or services I've used in past. Might be I was evaluating a product, might be I was using a particular product. So you have, whenever you would want to use a particular service from Google Cloud Platform, you would be enabling these APIs. So here we see some APIs for data proc, you have logging, monitoring, you have resource manager API, you have Cloud SQL, which allows you to directly use MySQL or Postgres, you have cloud storage, right? And so many APIs. So if I would want to enable a particular API, which is not right now required, but then it's good to know, you can always click on this one. You can search for an API. So for example, if I would say data proc, right? And that shows me the cloud data proc API, which manages Hadoop based clusters and jobs on Google Cloud Platform. So I can spin up a Hadoop cluster and I can start running some jobs on a Hadoop cluster on demand. And as I'm done with it, I can just get rid of it. So this is an API which I would have to enable. And then for every particular service, you also have an admin API which you would enable. Now going back, so coming out from this API library, I got